today on identityweek.net, I'm going to be talking with Jeff Boehm, who's Chief Operating Officer at Wicket. They're gold sponsors at our upcoming Identity Week America conference, which is being held in Washington, DC. It's really great to speak to you, Jeff, today and meet you ahead of the event. Wicket, I wonder if you could expand on what I'm about to say, but Wicket is a credentialing facial authentication platform which verifies spectators, guests, employees into kind of all manners of sporting or entertainment venues and credentialized facilities. So you're obviously dealing with huge numbers of people that you need to protect when they're entering these venues. How important is, with that in mind, is your multi-leveled approach to privacy and security with the platform?
Wonderful. Yeah, that great introduction, Evie. And yes, nice to speak with you as well. And I think you did a nice job sort of summarizing what we do here at Wicket as a facial authentication platform. And security and privacy are paramount to the success of our program and the success of people using our program, because both to secure the data, but also to give people using the system confidence that the data is being secured. And so there are a number of approaches we take to ensure that data security. The first actually is that it is a fully opt-in privacy-centric system. This is not something where we are surveilling large audiences of people without them knowing. People are opting in to use this system in exchange for convenience and being able to enter a facility more easily or being able to conduct a transaction more easily. When they opt in, they take a selfie at home, and that selfie is immediately converted into a mathematical representation. And so when they then show up at a facility, they show up and there's, say, an iPad or a network camera, and that also takes a picture once you present and say, I want to gain access to this space. And what it's doing is it's actually comparing those mathematical representations. There aren't actually photos being stored on those end devices, so there is no risk of that being stolen and having people's identities compromised. All that information is owned and housed by the organization that is actually running that event, whether it be a sporting venue or a conference or a corporation. And so they are in charge of that data, and all the personal information from people attending can be deleted immediately afterwards or after the end of a season if you want to be having people come back for multiple games or multiple events over the course of a season. And so, it starts with the opt-in, only people who want to participate. The data is stored in these mathematical representations. It's encrypted whenever it's being transmitted between devices, and the end facilities themselves own the data and own the data retention policy.
So how do you scale and probably work with those partners with scaling the technology and the whole security protocol from small scale events to large events? How do you assess that risk and implement the technology for different size venues?
Yeah, so it does scale from very small events. We've done events with or facilities with dozens or single digit hundreds of people, up to very, very massive events where think about a large football stadium where you have tens of thousands of people coming in through our system per game, and you need to scale to tens and hundreds of thousands of individuals. The system is built in with a scalable architecture, both in terms of the devices. You can simply add more devices when you're having people show up so that you can handle larger volumes of people coming in and out. And the data storage itself, because we're simply storing these mathematical representations, the data storage itself is quite compressed, quite compact. We're not storing a lot of information, and it can scale to handle large volumes of people. We're not aggregating and combining data from all the different facilities and all the different environments, so we don't have to worry about having a single instance that's housing all of that data. These are, the Cleveland Browns have their own data, or the New York Mets have their own data, and that amount of data is simply their pool, their audience of fans or attendees or employees or whomever is using the system in that environment. So again, we most of our environments, we've started with a small number of people initially, and then scaled up in many cases to, as I said, tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people.
What have your clients' comments been then on the operational outcomes of adopting your platform? Does it, meet the demand that they have, and does it work well with how they're currently authenticating people and verifying them?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and there's multiple different use cases of our technology. The company actually started back in 2020 in the height of COVID, as the Cleveland Browns were looking for ways to safely get fans back into the stadium without having to get too close to people, without having to touch screens, without having to hand somebody your phone or anything like that with your mobile ticket. And so we actually deployed it there and proved that even with COVID masks on, people could be identified and walk into the stadium safely with no contact at all. So in that case, it met a sort of safety and reliability goal that the Cleveland Browns had. But what they quickly found is not only did it do that, it actually reduced the amount of area they needed for ticketing, reduced and allowed them to redeploy staff elsewhere because it was so much easier, and it got fans into the stadium faster. They measured a 4-to-1 impact in terms of getting fans into the stadium faster. So fast forward now, multiple years later, when there's less of a concern about people being masked and social distancing, they find great benefit purely in the ingress time and how quickly and easily and reliably fans can get into the stadium. So it saved them cost, it saved them time, and got fans in faster. If you apply that same idea to facial payments, where we're being used for concessions or merchandise purchases, we have been proven to, again, like entering a facility, speed up those transactions. And when you're at a sporting event and you speed up transactions, you actually see a real increase in revenue because you're getting more people to go buy concessions or merchandise during those limited periods in a game when everybody is trying to get up and, get a drink and a snack. And so, again, we've seen real uptick in terms of revenue impact for those venues. Because this is a real fan favorite technology consistently across our different venues, employees and conference attendees and fans have rated it as one of the best parts of, sort of one of the best technology infrastructure parts of going into a game or a conference. Because it's such a fan favorite, many people they've actually started purchasing sponsorships to sponsor that entry technology. And so it's not even necessarily labeled as the Wicket entry technology. It's labeled as, in the case of the Atlanta Falcons Stadium or Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it's labeled as the Delta fly-through lanes, because Delta wanted to associate themselves with the ease and the facility of getting into the stadium faster. So there's a revenue benefit for that stadium there of being able to sell additional sponsorship benefits. So the benefits and what our customers really find is, at the core, there's a safety and security element of verifying and validating who's entering your facility. There is a revenue uptick element of being able to sell more merchandise or sell more concessions. There is a cost savings benefit of being able to reduce the amount of space needed for that verification or validation process. And there's just a fan satisfaction and a fan enjoyment element of people coming, enjoy that, and they like getting into the stadium and they get in faster, and that leads to just a better, happier fan base.
Wow. So you've really got the endorsement of fans, and you've got people, with the return of live events. You've already got these applications, which is great. What are your plans for growth then when it comes to exhibiting at Identity Week America? Who do you hope to meet, and what are your objectives from attending?
Yeah, so the company, as I mentioned, the company started in sports. Sports are our biggest market right now. The NFL actually just announced a league-wide program where all 32 teams will be using Wicket for credentialing this season to ensure the authenticity of people accessing the field or the locker room or the press box. So we're very widely deployed across sports. We've expanded that into numerous live events, conferences, other live events. And we're also finding applications in other industries, whether that be aviation or healthcare or enterprise, where you want to make it easier and secure to know who's coming in and out of an area. And in the end of the day, the way we think about it is your face becomes your authentication, whether you're authenticating that you have a ticket, or you have a credential, or you have a payment mechanism, or you have an age verification in case you're purchasing something that requires you to be a certain age to purchase, like alcohol. Wherever you're trying to validate somebody before they can move forward, you can use Wicket to do that. And it's been proven to be highly accurate and work equally well across all races and ethnicities. And so we're hoping at Identity Week to meet other people that are looking for ways to both secure and make easier access into different areas. Again, whether that be venues or office buildings or restricted areas, whatever that may be. So meeting people who are looking for, as I said, ways to facilitate that and improve the security of that.
That's great. I think you're going to meet lots of potential partners then at the event, because
Absolutely.
we focus on all these physical access across different, remote access across different sectors. So I think you're going to have a great event. I really wish you the best. Just to mention there, the gold sponsors at our Identity Week America event, which is returning on the 11th and 12th of September in Washington, DC. Thank you very much, Jeff, for your time.
Thank you, Evie. Appreciate the time today.